So we are at a film festival, and I know that you traffic in pastiche, and I wondered if you wanted to discuss a little bit of the things that you bring together and the way you take from one thing, kind of magpie all these different things together, and
Yeah.
what sort of films or other things have influenced the work that you've been doing, and this work in
Oh.
particular.
Yeah, well, they asked me to come up with a list, and then they showed a lot of them. Miracle in Milan is one of my favorite films. I just think it's mad genius. It's it almost makes me weep just thinking about it because it's so real. It's this fantasy that is so real in terms of the way he treats his subject matters, the other performers in the piece, the combination of really proficient crafts persons in terms of their acting ability and performance ability with total amateurs who have developed their own craft as a human being. You know, their art is that they are who they are. And so that has been really inspiring because I do that a lot in the work. You didn't totally see it, but we often will have, well, you saw it with the burlesque performers. Like, those are all women and men and some genderqueers who craft their life to be an art piece. They won't necessarily have a kick line that's like perfect, you know, that's not the goal. The goal is to kind of put forward their kind of humanity and their spirit and the life that they are crafting, that they're working every day. So when you combine that type of performance with Brooklyn United, where it's like polished and bam, 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 something happens in the room that I just think it's exciting. It just expands all the possibilities. Mm-hmm. And I love it when they can be on the same bill together, but I also like to make that part of the aesthetic of the show, part of the core value of the work. So it's even in my performance, you know, it's virtuosity next to imperfection, you know, and I'm always trying to say, how can I authentically fail on stage at the same time that I am reaching for that hemigod, that metaphor for perfection, but I'm also just allowing myself to not know what I'm doing.
And you've talked about that before, the idea that you let yourself be imperfect, which I think, you know, giving yourself permission to do that, obviously through the act of creating, gives a lot of other people that permission, because we're all so worried about being perfect all the time. Yeah. But that didn't just come from nothing. How long did it take you to give yourself permission?
Oh, you know, when you're raised, when I started doing musical theater, like most, I think, kids in this country that get involved in theater, it's like musical theater. There's an expectation that it's supposed to be the same way every night. It's polished. You hit your mark. You never mess up. If you mess up, there's shame around that, or you have to apologize, and then people have to tell you it's okay, you know. And so that creates an incredible kind of performance, you know, but it's super stressful, and it's also, again, it narrows things more than what I wanted to do. So I learned that kind of way, and then luckily the theater wouldn't have me. You know, I couldn't get auditions, so I tried to get auditions for 7 years in New York City. I couldn't get, I maybe had 2 auditions in 7 years, and I couldn't get an agent, I couldn't do anything, so I started making my own work. I went to the clubs where they would, you know, let anybody do anything, and I learned that advice from Mercedes Rules, because she was like, she auditioned for every acting school in the world, she said to my class, and they all rejected her, so she just went to the place where they wouldn't reject anybody, you know? It's like, right, that's what you do. So I went to the clubs, and then it was there that I saw, you know, people doing stuff that was rough around the edges. And I thought, oh, there's a different way to go about doing this, and can I combine the two? And so that's really kind of where it began.